Welcome, the War Chief of Light is back with another epic video. Hi, my name is PB, but you lovely people are more than welcome to call me Peeps. Today we're doing something a little different. I watched a video and honestly it really inspired me to create my own. So, I'm going to invite you to watch a Taliesin and Evitel video, which, stick with me here, we're going to go through it almost point by point and discuss if WoW is a dead game. Now, I'm going to preface this immediately. There are some points I disagree with wholeheartedly. There are some points, most points, I'm not going to lie, I agree with. So, let's start talking about it. First thing Taliesin mentions is, listen, it's not hard to see, Warcraft's views are down. Period, end point, whether it's streamed, whether it's YouTube, whether it's, listen, it's all in the pooper. Yes, that's fact. Listen, there's no debating that views and stuff have come down significantly. I'd also agree that it is across the board. So while yes, Warcraft has a lot less subscriber base, has a lot less interest in the game as it has in the past, I'd also like to caveat that all views are down, generally speaking. We also talk about how the player numbers are down, which, again, no secret. And one of the things he mentions quite a bit is that it's weird because Dragonflight is so good. Like, he hammers that bitch home. He is 100% behind. The Dragonflight is so damn good right now, but the numbers are still down. Now, I'm going to start this right here, right now. I haven't played much of Dragonflight, and I'm probably going to be playing more in the near future. But I have to admit, I enjoyed what I played. And the general consensus, even on fucking Twitter, is that Dragonflight is actually pretty goddamn good right now. So that's exciting to hear. I don't want to see them fail. I don't want people to have a shitty game. If you spent X amount of dollars to play a game, I want it to be the best game for you that you've ever seen. I want you to enjoy games. I want you to enjoy gaming. And I'm glad, I am so glad to hear that it's really good, that feedback was listened to and things have improved significantly. Just the Twitter presence has improved significantly. Just the roadmaps have improved significantly. The communication has improved, and I guess the actual content, I can't speak to that, has improved. Yay. I also see, and he has mentioned that he likes making content now. It's exciting, it's good, it's positive, and it feels great. Listen, great for you. I'm so happy to hear that you're enjoying it. Thumbs up. So, let's talk about his beliefs on why Shadowlands 9.1 destroyed everything. To him, the concept of Shadowlands, generally speaking, sucked. Like, there wasn't much world building, adventuring, it was hard to get through. The Maw sucked. The Maw sucked a lot. It was gray, the palette. The no mounting, he said he didn't mind it so much, but like 8 months of it, a lot, which fair. And then Korthia was more Maw, which the gray palette, listen, I have to admit they had an opportunity to make this new unexplored land be lush, be so different, something we'd never seen before. Something they brought out in 9.2, I'm not gonna lie. And they didn't. So I have to admit, I agree. Especially you waited 8 months of gray to get more gray. If you were Revendra, do you know how much fucking gray you played? So, listen, the big conversation is the actual concept sucked. It was too long. Not to get to 9.1, by the time you were getting to 9.1, people hated the game. Alright? They were over it no matter what. Even if it was really good, after 100 days of it, like, it ain't so good anymore. Which, I see that and I don't, because a lot of problems with Shadowlands right out of the gate. Like, Torghast wasn't great at all. The beginning cinematic was forced to everyone. The getting stuck to one covenant sucked for a lot of people. The people that were min-maxers that would pick their covenant based on their best skill got stuck with covenants that they disliked. Or Maldraxxus, which Maldraxxus was terrible. I'm sorry, it is. Again, gray all day. That's gray and green. You also didn't get much of the actual story if you played through only one of them, especially if you didn't play Bastion. So, a lot of problems right from the get-go that I think was kind of forgotten. Because, listen, it wasn't roses for those 100 days. People were shitting on it day one. I personally enjoyed the first half, even though I tried to stick into some of the storytelling. It wasn't all good, I admit that, but it was up for debate day one, honestly, not gonna lie to you. Some of the more advanced players, or the players that really like to min-max their item levels and stuff, didn't like some of the systems that were involved in getting new gear and stuff. Listen, generally speaking, people did not like the 0.0 patch, and then had to do it for 100 days. So by the end, people were pulling teeth. They hated it. A lot of people moved on for something to do, which, fair. I mean, at this point, fair. By the time 9.1 came out, another thing that he mentioned was a big thing was the Final Fantasy XIV popularity. Now, let's be real here. Final Fantasy XIV was off the backs of Shadowbringers, which is the best expansion a video game has ever launched, period, in my humble opinion. So it was popular as shit, and you had 100 days where you hated shit from pretty much day 10 on. It's normal for players to look for something similar or different, so the popularity rising helped. Remember, this is also during the pandemic, so people were playing more at home. They were playing anyway, and they were getting pissed at this game because it didn't have shit to do. Again, this was a point that Tally didn't think really affected. It definitely did. You were home. Game sales shot during the pandemic. Period. End point. So immediately, it was starting to get popular because they didn't have shit to do. And yes, Tally did mention, listen, there's 7 years worth of content in Final Fantasy XIV. No wonder players are excited. Yes and no. Warcraft is not a game where you have 20 years worth of content. You have 3 months worth of leveling. No story that's cohesive if you really want to play it through like you're supposed to. And then you have the expansion, which is, at that point, 3 months maybe of content if you really took your time at it? So it's not a fair comparison here. And let's be real, they are not the same game. One is an RPG first, MMO second, where you're actually spending 80 hours up until Shadowbringers of cutscenes, dialogue. If you were somebody who really liked a lot of action or really big WoW fan, chances are you wouldn't have liked 14 anyway. 14 launched a spot where they had a major sale because of pandemic plus end of expansion. They had a new expansion coming within 6 months. So listen, we had a shit ton of content coming and a lot of hype in the news. And then something happened after 9.1 release. So there was new content. What was it? Oh yeah. Lawsuits. It was bad. It was bad news bear. People that were already sick of the game didn't need more of a reason. They were like, okay, that's it. Bye. I was in the camp of player that I was content, but I had put a hard line of what is too much for a company to do for me to finally say, fuck you, and... So I do think Tally's being a little bit disingenuous with the popularity of 14. It's just different positions in their production cycle, a pandemic, and then, shit hitting the fan at Blizzard. And remember, guys, it was Blizzard who was the biggest culprits of this. Not Activision, not King. Blizzard. That's right, our faves. All guilty as charged. So, rough go. And I mean, a lot of people fell off, period. The game felt icky to play, honestly. So yeah, it was completely understandable to watch people drop off. Little to no content. When you finally got it, found out that you guys were shitheads behind the veil, and we had a game that was pushing to their next expansion. So they had their marketing teams out, they had their sales going on, they had a pandemic, so sales were already up in the air. They were set for success. One thing that Taliesin mentioned that I have to agree at 1,000% is he doesn't like it when they pit one community against the other. Final Fantasy XIV versus WoW, WoW versus Final Fantasy XIV. It's one thing to compare the games and be like, I like this, I like that, I prefer this, and you know what, I don't like that. Fine. But to physically pit them one against the other, not great. Remember, players like stuff that's different. And that's normal, right? That's a normal part of everything. Everyone's got their own definition of fun. And if Warcraft style of play is more your jam, then perfect, right? I'm not going to stop you. No reason to shit on the other game for it. So, turns out WoW got good for the last patch of Shadowlands. Good for them. For the players who are still playing, again, I want you guys to succeed. I want you guys to have fun. And I'm glad it got better. I truly am. But nobody was there to see it. Really. According to Taliesin, it was great gaming and very unfortunate that not many people got to see it, but so good. He then continues to reiterate how good the game is today, and he's honestly pushing the point that, listen, most people that aren't playing right now know that the game is good, which I agree. I'm one of the players that are looking at it going, you know what, I could probably play it a couple nights a week. I think I'd enjoy that. And I think it's in a spot where I would like to play it. Absolutely. So they've got a good game now. They've got a great cadence of content. Stuff is pumping out. It is great. Where's players? According to Taliesin, listen, they are burnt. They were hurt. They don't want to come back, and that's okay. But they are putting a good game forward. He doesn't believe the end of the pandemic has anything to do with WoW's numbers today, which I'm gonna disagree a little bit there. The reality is the minute that the pandemic was over, it's not, but whatever. The minute we said it was over, people started traveling in droves. People started doing things very differently, very quickly. And then, cost of living crisis. Listen, we're not going to go into politics here because this isn't the spot to do it, but just in my province, for example, rent has gone up 30% 2 years in a row. Food has gone up 12% twice. Video game purchases, generally speaking, are not as high as they should be. Most pleasure purchases are not, you know what I mean, like entertainment. God, this is getting worse. I'm gonna shut up now, but you know what I'm saying. Has slowed down. So yeah, I really do think that it is part of the problem, a little bit. He's still very hopeful, and honestly, that's awesome. I love that. I love that he's enjoying himself that much, and he's like, listen, this game is good. People will either A, be back, or whatever. I'm enjoying it, and I love making that content. Great. He pretty much ends the point of this video with, Dragonflight is great. If you're thinking about coming back, you should. Which, not gonna lie, I have to agree with. If the game's in a good spot and you really want to play, go. Have fun. Enjoy it. No, I think he should have finished his video there. If I'm being totally honest, I think that's where the video should have ended. The last couple points he put into it, a little weird. I'm not gonna lie. Actually, you know what? Just watch this next one. Let's just watch it.
And I hate to say this, but the vibe in the WoW community has been really good ever since a load of people left for Final Fantasy XIV.
Ooh, yeah. I think you should have cut that out. If I'm being totally honest. Remember, Warcraft's community is very well known to be fucking toxic. Not kind of toxic. Fucking toxic. They had to put a player contract that has never been enforced. I think that comment comes from a player who's in a privileged position. This is somebody who plays with a guild, who is constantly playing with a guild, raiding with their friends. There's nothing wrong with that. That is the optimal way to play that game, and I'm glad that that's the experience you're getting. But very disingenuous. Humbly. It's bad. Method? That big streamer, which we're not going to name, he who shall not be named. in all of their communities. Twitter, holy fuck, Twitter. And the chat. Listen, I don't have to tell you guys about Warcraft chat. It's on par with League of Legends. Shit. Especially when you compare it to the Final Fantasy XIV community. Again, we're not pitting them against each other. That's not the goal here. But what this comment is saying is, hey, the people that were here that were shit, they left. They went to the other game. It's great now. It's still shit there. And two, if it got better, then fantastic. I'm glad it did. The other side didn't get shit, though. Because they have people that moderate their game where the shit's not allowed. Blizzard's biggest social community problem is a lack of moderation. Go to their Twitter and check out the comments on their recent t-shirt they just launched for Pride Month, where they're collecting for charity. The fact that none of those comments are being moderated and being pointed directly to trans people, just that, let alone in their game, which we know has a severe lack of moderation. No, just no. That comment should have never made that video. He talks honestly about him hurting for views and how it can affect the game financially in the future. He's right. And the last thing he said was that a lot of content creators made a lot of hate videos and bashing videos and stuff like that, which I'm in two camps. One, I understand, listen, there was no content, one, and two, you gotta eat, right? Do I agree with all of it? Probably not, but I'm not gonna get mad at it, and it's one of those, like, you like some, you don't, follow the people that you like and let it go. Not that deep. But he said a few comments that I was like, he was very proud of himself that he can look back on his content and he never did that. And that honestly there were times where people were like, you're going way too far in the opposite direction. He's like, no, very proud of myself. A little disingenuous again. The reality is that while they were always a solid voice of positivity, there was a lack of criticism and a lot of videos that were made to justify plot holes, justify missing information. And I mean, I don't have to give you much more than go look at the analysis of the final cutscene where the jailer dies. It's not condescending, that's not the right word, but it feels that way as you're watching it, because you'll see him go through it and be like, clearly they mean this and that, and the music changes here. Oh, do you see that small moment there? Obviously that's what it is. Show, don't tell. If you watch a cinematic, and most people watching it, 80%, don't get it. But your 20% did. It's not because evidently that was the important message and people should have caught that. No, it was poorly constructed. It is what it is. Listen, Final Fantasy XIV has some cinematics I believe are poorly constructed. We're lit. A video for another day, but I digress. The idea here is not that we want you to hear you shit on it. Just be honest, right? Hey, this is what I caught from it. I think this is what they meant. Honestly, if they would have showed this in a better light, maybe changed it this way, maybe had this dialogue added, or maybe a close-up of this, I think that would have resonated better with the players. That's an honest look at it without being negative. So, again, I am not shitting on this creator. I actually like their videos 9 times out of 10. And I don't dislike this video. I liked it a lot. That's why I wanted to make a video on it. But I did want to take 5 minutes and just, you know what? Let's look at it. Agree with most, because I do. And the few points that are a little bit disingenuous, maybe look at them a little bit, talk about it, have a cute little discussion. And yeah, I am pretty interested in returning at some point relatively soon. I am glad to hear it's great. And I'm glad to be able to have this talk and not shit on each other. Just, you know what, maybe you missed that point. This is how I see it. We can all just be nice to each other and have conversations. And I think that's what's missing in this, is just a conversation. Alright, well thank you so much for watching this video. It's a little bit different. Listen, you know where to find me if you want to watch more nerdy stuff. Some Final Fantasy, listen, some Warcraft with a controller. Subscribe, hit the like button, watch a few. You know what to do. In the meantime, have a legendary night. Thanks so much for being here, and I can't wait to see you guys again on the next one. Bye. No, seriously, don't go shitting at Taliesin. This actually was a really good video. Did I agree with him? On most points. And it's okay to disagree. It's okay to be like, hey, listen, I don't think that's it. And still be cool. I'll still watch his videos, still like on them, and still comment on them. It's fun. Be a positive light in either community that you're in.